Hello there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Sunday, October the 22nd, 2023, and it's my second recording of the day. I will release these slowly over the course of the last week in October. So you have a few days to enjoy from one video to the next, and that they're not back to back to back because you'll get sick of me. So I'm batch recording today and I'll slowly release them. I don't know when they're going to come out, but here we go. Let's make a start. If you're happening across this channel for the very first time, hi, my name's Gary. I set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. That's in knitting, crocheting, and I do dabble in a little bit of yarn dyeing. I talk about my acquisitions, where I purchase my yarn and my craft tools from. And if that is of interest to you, please stick around. Think about hitting that subscribe button down below. And for those who have returned, I want to say thank you so much for all the wonderful comments and encouragement and all the questions that you have for me. I do love yarn, and I love exploring the types and varieties of different yarns. The best part about being a yarn crafter is that when you find a pattern that matches well with type of yarn, and you go off on your merry way down the adventure way of creating that pattern or working towards that pattern, how you can enjoy the journey and how the stitching tells a bit of a story. I absolutely enjoy that. And then come to that pattern a few weeks later, or maybe at a different time down the future, and you find a different yarn that maybe gives you a whole newfound appreciation for the pattern all over again. When it's color and all the play with color changes up the pattern enjoyment to a different level, I absolutely enjoy all those little vignettes and those rewards along the way. So before we get started, I wanted to talk what Hank, my man form, is wearing and what I'm wearing. So Hank is wearing a crocheted shawl that I did, I'm going to say maybe about a year and a half ago. And it is quite a large shawl. It's to a pattern called the Rose Matrix Shawl. And it's by Mary, I'm just going to look over here because I'm going to get her name wrong, I think. Mary Lynn Patrick. And it is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. I'll link all patterns that I mentioned down below in the description box. And anything that you have maybe more need to find out a little further about, then hopefully all what you need is down below in the description box. If you need to reach out to me and ask further questions, then you can reach me on email, and that is at urbanyarn101@gmail.com. So what I'm wearing is the Drangey Pullover, which I have a copy of here. It's only in black and white. I have a black and white printer at home, and it's a knit pattern by Stephen West, or West Knits. And I knit this up, I'm going to even say like 3 years ago. I had chosen a certain size, but I didn't do a gauge swatch. So my size went a little larger than expected, and I do have about 5 inches of positive ease, so that's 2.5 all the way around, so it's a little oversized. And what I found was I did like the neck sizing, because this has an interesting neckline. I thought if I had it any shorter that it would actually be choking more into my neck. But at this size, I really do like the fit for the top part, which is great. And lots of new learns for me when I was working on this. I was learning short rows, and I was learning how to play with the yoke and different interesting ways of doing the raglan style color work here with the increases, because it's a work that you work up from the collar down, so top down. And yeah, I was using Noro yarn, which is a lovely yarn to work with, just the interesting play on color. And I paired it with a acrylic yarn. And funny enough, when I was like moving and I pulled this out of storage, I found that mixing a acrylic yarn every other row or something, because I didn't have too much Noro yarn to complete the project. So I had to share it with this acrylic yarn, was that I found that the acrylic warded off any like nasty little critters that wanted to eat at my pure wool yarn from Noro. So I was very thankful that I kind of interplayed the gray color, which was acrylic, in between the rows of Noro. So yeah, you can see it there. And it's wearing okay. I mean, it's peeling a little bit. I have to glean every, say, season, all the peels off. And I absolutely love it. It's so cozy. I love the color and the coziness of it being oversized. It's just a great sweater. So that brings me to what I'm talking about today, which is, as the title suggests, what kind of yarn I did get when I went in-store shopping at our local Michael's, which is about an hour and 45-minute drive away down a highway in a place called Nanaimo. And I was super interested in seeing the new setup that they have down there. So in the past, you used to line up for a checkout person, and you know, if you had questions, they were there to help you along the way. But they've got some self-checkout stations now, which I thought was interesting and a really nice way of, you know, clearing a queue or, you know, not having to line up. And there was a person there who was helping us direct any questions or answer any questions, I should say, or direct us to how to use the on-screen payment system. And they had new bags in Michael's. We all probably have shopped through Michael's store. If not, they used to have the plastic bags to put all of your shopping in. But now they've done away with the plastic, and they're using these amazing canvasy bags. So fine form there, Michael's. I'm super happy that you're doing this. And I can reuse this bag or store things in, like the yarn that I purchased. And this is all new to me yarn. I have seen one other yarn that I purchased before, and I wanted to get other colors in the collection. So let's jump into the yarn here. I have my receipt, and my receipt tells me, oh, that's correct. I was getting, everything was 30% off yarn sale. And I believe the pricing that I'm going to recite here will be a regular price, but then also the discount is collected towards the end. I found this a new yarn to me. It's called Loops and Threads multi-marled acrylic yarn. That's the Loops and Threads new brand that they have on their labels, and they have a barcode there, QR code, sorry. So this is a 126 gram ball offering up 118 meters or 130 yards, and it's called the multi-marled acrylic. It's considered a bulky 5, which I would agree. That's a good classification. It roves a little bit from thicker parts of the yarn, which you can see here. It's quite, you know, it fluffs out a bit and then it gets thinner. And to me, it looks like there are a couple of strands that are twisted together. So it's not one ply. It's actually got a few things happening in there. And let's see how, oh no, maybe it is a one ply. It sort of pulls apart. Maybe these plies are kind of very loosely spun and then they're spun again. So I'm not too sure. It does look like an interesting mix of color, and the feel of it to me, even though it says it's acrylic yarn, it feels like there's some cotton in here. Let's have a look. So it says here it's 100% acrylic. And they're suggesting here to use an 8mm set of knitting needles or a 9mm crochet hook, They're saying it is machine washable in cold and to lay flat to dry. It says do not dry clean. The colorway does not have a name. It has a number. So the color number is 10880, but it's got nice kind of pastel-y. It's like a bluish and a tint of green, like a light gelati green going through it with whites and a slightly darker green as well. I really like it. It's nice. Softness factor for me, out of 5, 5 being the softest in the range, I'm going to say it's probably, it's not itchy, but it does feel like it's slight, it has a slight cord value to it, like a cordy value. Dry, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, really, really nice. It's a bouncy yarn, and I think when you work up this, it's not going to have too much of give to the fabric, so it'll be quite a stiff fabric. So perhaps that's why they've suggested using a larger hook and needle size for a 5 classification, or a bulky. Yeah, so all things considered, I think that's going to make a great item. So what did I pay for this? It was on regular $9.99, so that's $10. That's quite an expense, isn't it? But because I got my 30% off and then an additional 15% because Chad is a teacher, and they do have discounts at Michael's if you are shopping, to inquire about whether you fit into one of the categories of their discounts. So of a certain age, if you're over a certain age, you get a discount in Canada anyway. And if you're a veteran or a teacher, you also get an extra discount. So that's kind of good to know. And so I paid $5.96 for one of these balls with a savings of, it says here, $2.99. And then and then the 15% off was $104. So I did get quite a chunk off of that ball. So $4, around $4 off, which is excellent. So I got a few other colors because I was really impressed with this yarn. So I got a few of this colorway here, which is a nice kind of beigey and different browns. So that would make a beautiful hat. I might even try a bush tracker beanie with this yarn to see how it works up. The thing is that I think what will happen with the fabric is because it roves a little bit, there's going to be parts of the stitch work which will be smaller, shrunken, and so the rows might not match up evenly, but still an interesting texture just to see how it works up in this great marl. I think my favorite yarns I'm finding throughout the 4 years that I've been crafting with yarn is that I love marl and I love heathered and flecked yarn as well. The tweeds, they're probably 3 of my favorite styles of yarn. So just show you the other, I got another ball of the same color, which I didn't give you for the beige, and that is 098 AY. I don't understand. There's the color breakdown there of the code. So, and there also is the markings there of how much it costs in the US and the States. So the US regular price is $7.99 and Canadian is $9.99. Then I got this color here, which is kind of a more mustard brown color, and the number on this one, or the code for the colorway, is 158 AM, as in the time, AM in the morning. So that's it there. What else can I tell you about this? Where is it made? It's made in It doesn't say. Doesn't give me a made in wherever. Oh, here, made in Turkey. There we go. And I thought that the 30% off. Oh, I got 2 of these, and then the 15 was a good deal. Well, are they the same? Yeah, they're the same. They just look different because of the light. Yeah. And this is the last color that I got in the series, and they had, at a guess, I think they had maybe, I want to say like 8 colors. I didn't get all of them, but I got the ones that I liked the most, and this green one was probably the darkest of the bunch that I liked. And this colorway is called, or is labeled, 172Y. Yep. I just wanted to make sure that that 2 wasn't a Z. But 172Y. Then I got myself into a different section in Michaels, because those ones that I just showed you were on an end cap, and I was going to bypass it completely because I know where the yarn is in the Nanaimo Michaels, and this was sort of in a different end cap of the yarn area that I had not seen before, like tagged onto a different shelf unit. And I was lucky to have passed them, and they caught my eye, and I thought, this is a great yarn, so I'm going to try them. But this one that I'm going to show you now, I've had this before in my stash in different colors, and I wanted to get in on this visit to my Michaels the black version of it, so that I could create some framing on squares that I would be putting together. So it was just another option. Rather than going light, I wanted to go a little dark, so I could get the colors to shine through, like bright colors or fluoro colors or neon colors, so that would keep it more looking like stained glass or lead glass or whatever it's called. So I picked up a couple of balls of this 3-weight yarn, and it's called Loops and Threads Heathered Tweed, and it's very, very soft. Out of 5, I would give this a definite 4. It rates up pretty high. It's like a chainette constructed blow-on yarn. So inside there is like a mesh of almost like a white colored material, and then around it is blown onto it this black fuzzy, and it has a bit of a halo, and it makes it very light and very soft. So let's read about this yarn. This yarn is, the ball offers up 150 grams, which is giving me 382 meters or 418 yards. It's classified a 3-weight yarn. This color here that I'm holding is also just a color number, which is 2204. Or actually, this one does have a name. It's called Soot, S-O-O-T. And it's 66% polyester, 30% acrylic, and 4% wool. It is made in, I always find this the hardest thing to find on here. Where are you made in? I'll have to come back. Oh, made in China. And it recommends using a 6mm set of knitting needles or a 6.5mm crochet hook. What else can I tell you? Washing and care instructions are that you can hand wash in cold and do not bleach, lay flat to dry, do not iron are the care instructions. And I'm going to pull away some of these fibers just to see whether they are embedded in there nicely. And I'd say it will probably shed as you're working with it slightly. Until you wash it, you might be able to find that those flyaways settle down a bit. But more on that because I will work it up, and I am doing a test right now on another Caron cake that I got from Michael's called the Macchiato cakes. And I'm finding that for knitting, that one is very Velcro-y. So I might be doing another knit and crochet test with this one, and I'll be back to report whether or not the yeah, how it performs when you're working with it with both crafts. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 balls of this soot color, so I can put them into my stained glassy or framed works that I put together if I'm doing something modular. I think that's going to look really good. And price point on, now I can't find where my receipt is. Oh, here we go. Price point on those heathered tweed, it's saying here $9.99 regularly per ball. So I basically paid the same, $5.90. It says here $5.94. So I'm not sure how they've calculated that. But I thought that was a good value and discount from the $9.99 all the way down to $5.94, I think it was telling me. And I wanted to do a comparison on the First Loops and Threads multi-mulled acrylic yarn, just to take a look to see whether there are compatible yarns out there that are similar to that. And in my stash, I thought it looked very similar when I was in the store to this Plymouth yarn, which is coffee beans. And that's kind of a similar style. It's mulled. It has 2 ply together. It's not as roving as this one here. So it's more unified in the thickness. But when I looked closely at home when I had the 2, this one is a twisted yarn or applied yarn, and this one is more of a bulkier style yarn, as the weight suggests. It's a bulky 5, so it's thicker, and the threads or the fibers are a little more of the single plies. So we have 2 single plies here that aren't wound tight, and then they're wound around each other. And this one seems more of a plied strands that are mulled together. But I love them. I think that they're great, both of them. And I do like this color. My favorite that I am seeing right now for what I'm looking at in this color, new color selection, are probably this green one. And strangely enough, this blue one. Because there is some of that light pale blue in the green. So a project with those 2 together might work out really well. With that, I think that is all that I have in the yarn talk. And I think there was footage of Pixel along the way, maybe in the front. But if not, I'll put it at the end, because me and Pixel went on a walk. We do every morning before I go to work. I'm up and I spend an hour, probably 40 minutes with Pixel, and we go for around a 20-25 minute walk. We tend to go the same route so that she gets used to, going the same direction. She'll sniff at the same smells, and she'll see the regular kind of suspects along the way. There's other dog walkers that we will, kind of like meet up with and have a little bit of a play or a talk. And there's a cute family that waits for the school bus, the yellow school bus that she passes, and she always, stands on her hind legs to say hello to. And the other day I was walking down our regular pathway, which is full of bushes, and you probably am going to see footage or have seen footage of that pathway. And a deer, probably the height of, I'm going to say easily 4 foot tall deer, bounded over the bushes and landed on the track or the trail in front of me and Pixel, and was maybe around 2 feet away from kind of like escaping. It was like leaving the roadway on the other side of the bush and trying to make its way into the thick of the forest. So it bounded and saw us, scared me and Pixel, and I sort of like stood back. Pixel ran and tugged on my arm because she was on the leash, and she wanted to go the other way. She was not having any of it. But when it cleared the pathway and went into the forest, there it stood and watched to see whether it had actually knocked us over or whatever. So it turned back around just to check on us. And I thought, you little rascal, like you scared the living daylights out of us. But we are always reminded we live so closely here to nature and all of the kind of movements with the wild animals that live on the land and by the river. So it was just I thought that the creature looked beautiful and majestic, but it did scare me. Anyway, with that, I think I'll catch you up very soon again. I have another video to record, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.